Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to be talking to you today about the low pin count bus, which is known as the Lpc bus, the Industry Standard Architecture Bus, or otherwise known as the ISA, and the Peripheral Component Interconnect Bus, which is what most computers have today, which is a PCI bus. Now, let's talk about these a little bit. As you know from a previous video, I said the CPU is the fastest thing in your computer. This is your central processing unit, okay? That's the fastest thing in your computer. That's why they have the L1 cache, the L2 cache, some of them have the L3, and then finally you have your RAM. Now, in modern computers, they have a front-side bus and a back-side bus. The back-side bus usually connects the CPU to the second fastest thing in the computer, which is your random access memory. Okay, now keep in mind that the computer does not directly connect the CPU to the RAM. It goes from the CPU to the L1 cache, the L2 cache, and if there's an L3 cache, it'll go through that, then it'll go to the RAM. I explained that in a previous video. Now, the path between the L2 or possibly L3 cache and the RAM is known as the backside bus. Now, what about the front-side bus? Now, that's where you get your peripheral component interconnect. And that path connects your graphics card, your hard drive, all your components, okay, and it will connect those to your CPU. Alright, now then, here's the kicker. We also have something called the Universal Serial Bus, and the Universal Serial Bus is also known as your USB, and this is the one that connects your cameras, your printers, and that kind of stuff to your CPU. Alright, now, the final thing to really remember about all these buses here is which one came first. The low pin count bus is the first one that was ever introduced, and this was for the PS2s. Okay, this was the IBM Personal System 2s that came out. They were some of the very first computers that ever came out, okay? At least the ones for, you know, after the ENIAC and the UNIVAC and all these big old computers, the ones that you would find in your house, the first ones you'd ever find were the low pin count buses, okay? And later on, it evolved to the Industry Standard Architecture buses. So this got replaced by this, and then this got replaced by this. And I'm sure that you guys have seen graphics cards that say PCI Express. That is a form of PCI which is a little more advanced, and it's a little bit faster. Okay, so we've actually gone from low pin count bus to Industry Standard Architecture bus to Peripheral Component Interconnect bus to Peripheral Component Interconnect Express bus. And each one of those, the Lpc was the slowest because it was the first generation. The ISAs were the second slowest because they were the second generation. The PCIs were the third slowest. So this was the slowest one of them all. This one was a little bit faster. This one was a little bit faster. And then, of course, now you have your PCI Express, which is even faster than that. Basically. That's what it all boils down to. Alright? Now, they used to have in computers things called the North Bridge and South Bridge. Okay, that had a lot to do with the low pin count buses and the Industry Standard Architecture buses. They stopped using North Bridge and South Bridge when they referred it over to this. Now they have the front side bus and the back side bus. But anyway, that's a basic understanding of what's going on. Not a whole lot to tell you on this one. I could have gone further in depth with all this, but I really didn't want to go through all that. That's a lot of material that I think should be covered either in a future lesson or just flat out by somebody else, somebody that's a little more technically into the know-how than I am. And anybody who wants to do that, go right ahead. I won't stop you. And that's pretty much all I got to say for this particular video. So stay tuned.